Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Slack on Flicks podcast. I'm your host, film critic, and 16 News Now producer, Benjamin Slack. Now, it is no secret that the Fantastic Four are some of the most iconic characters in all of fiction, and despite that, they've not had the best run at theatrical films. At least, they don't have films that both fans and critics both agree on. So I figured that before we'd hop into the goodness that was the Fantastic Four first steps from Marvel Studios, we take a look back at their film history very briefly. Starting off in 2005, we have Fantastic Four, starring Chris Evans, Johan Griffith, Jessica Alba, and Michael Chiklis. And I gotta say, I think that this is a regular occurrence with me that I disagree with both fans and critics alike, because this film is, no pun intended, fantastic. From the cast to the updated characterizations of characters to the storyline, it's able to drag out an origin story throughout an entire length of a film without letting it get old or boring along the way. I stand by that Slacker scale grade of an A-. And then moving along, we ended up with its sequel in 2007, Rise of the Silver Surfer. Now, this was the ideal way to take the story forward, but gone was the campiness and entertainment value that the original brought to us, and it ended up with a slacker scale of a C. But we were not prepared for 2015 with Fantastic Four, or Fan-Four-Stick as the fandom calls it. I still stand by the statement that this movie was made for science geeks rather than comic book geeks like us. But that brings us to 2025. The Marvel Cinematic Universe has been going since 2008, and for years and years, us fans have been waiting for the X-Men and Fantastic Four to show up, and they finally are here, and it is not a disappointment. Let's take a look at it.
Mr. Fantastic. Invisible Woman. Human Torch.
I love you, Johnny!
And the Thing.
I herald his beginning. I herald your end. I herald Galactus.
What is that? Say it!
Gotta love an action-packed trailer like that. Now, the one word I would use to describe this film is different, because this is not your stereotypical MCU project. In fact, I'd say it's the most suspenseful and even depressing at times the series has to offer. It follows the Fantastic Four in a futuristic 1960 world, an entirely separate universe from the regular 616 timeline, as they are the only heroes on their Earth, and they are adored by the public. They've been heroes for 4 years now. But everything changes with the arrival of the Silver Surfer and Galactus, who is coming to devour their world. And things begin to get very personal for the team, which in effect turns the public completely against them. The plot never loses its focus and keeps the themes of family and sticking together as one scattered all throughout the act, resulting in a final half hour that will let any comic book fan shed a tear, at least a little tear. The visuals are stunning, from the setting of the movie itself right down to the characterization of the iconic characters played by wonderful actors that do not give off disappointing performances.
The most identifying factor to my character, who has a brain that would eat him if left to his own resources. Right. So he anchors himself to these relationships. This is a family that only knows how to save humanity by being a family, and it's the story of togetherness all around.
It all started with Fantastic Four, and the Marvel fans know that. It all started, I just was talking to Jack Kirby's granddaughter Jillian a moment ago, it all started with his pencil. It started with he and Stan, and that's what created what we know as the Marvel Universe, were these characters.
The Fantastic Four First Step starts the MCU's sixth phase with a launch to the moon that's a complete success. It has something that both sides of the spectrum can enjoy. For general movie audiences, it's a fun escapism and honestly a very good look at how family can stick together even in the darkest of times. And for comic book fans, it's something that's going to make you want a lot more and be even more excited for Avengers Doomsday in about a year. Its final ranking on the Slacker scale is a well-earned B+. While Marvel and DC are usually separated in all aspects, Marvel's first family must have got their hands on some kryptonite, because it knocked off Superman with the $118 million opening. Superman, though, is still drawing the crowds because This weekend, domestically, it earned $24,860,000. And one of those viewers happens to be sitting right next to me in the podcast room, or across from me, I should actually say. You know him from 16 News Now at 5 with Caroline Clapp, produced by my friend Jesse Gideon, and 16 News Now at 11, which is produced by yours truly. Let's bring him in right now. It's George Mallet. George, thank you so much for joining us this evening.
I'm always up for talking comic book heroes.
I know. That actually really surprised me, believe it or not. Me and Spencer Beeler, our web digital producer, were always talking comic books and that, and then you came in one day and we were like, whoa, wait a minute. I think you know more about this story than I actually do.
And then I brought my comic books in because when I was a little boy and actually into my young teenage years, I subscribed to the Superman comic and I had it mailed to my house every day because I didn't want to have to go fight at Newark newsstand to get it when it first came out. I was days ahead of everybody else.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. That I was actually reading through those comics the other day. Yep, 16 News Now at 5. Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a photo of me or something reading them cover to cover. So already taking care of that. But right away, you told me last weekend that you were thinking about going to see either the Fantastic Four or Superman. Obviously, you went with The Last Son of Krypton. And I'm going to ask it right off the bat. What did you think of the movie?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, it was very true to the spirit of the comic book. It was earnest. It was colorful. It was a lot of fun. I mean, I told you earlier, I mean, my favorite part was absolutely Krypton the dog because, you don't see it coming. You expect, okay, if there's a super dog in the movie, he's probably some very well-trained or just a prescient animal that does exactly the right thing at the right time throughout. But this dog was just like my stupid dog. You know, he just comes flying in from nowhere and
comparing him to Spots, huh?
Yeah, it just well, Spots is now flying around the house with a cape on because he's so touched by Krypton. But it was great comic relief. But then he's got little. I don't want to spoil anything, but he's got some heroic moments as well.
He does, yeah.
So it's it was the perfect addition. The other thing I was looking. I don't go to see a lot of movies. I'm not really, probably I'm a little behind on popular culture, but I really liked the overall cast.
I was actually going to ask that, which actually leads me right into my next question over here. You've been reading comics for a while, both DC and Marvel. You brought them both in. So would you consider yourself pretty picky when it comes to like these big budget blockbusters? Like, when you hear that they're coming, are you a little bit worried about who they're going to cast? And, maybe when you find out who's cast, you're worried if they're going to do a good job and bring justice to the characters or not?
Yeah, I mean, I think Batman's a good example. I mean, who hasn't played Batman? I'm surprised I haven't played Batman yet. I mean, everybody that you could think. And some of them were really good and some of them really weren't. But this Corin Sweat is great as Superman.
He is. I think he took the greatest aspects of like almost every previous Superman and he somehow just combined it and won the whole plot and just honestly right down to Superman's costume took different elements from different interpretations of the character. But David Cornsweet, I personally feel, next to the iconic Christopher Reeve, is probably the second best Superman because he just embodied everything that the character stands for: truth, justice, everything in the human way. He was bright and colorful, funny, serious.
Of course, I'm old enough to remember when it was truth, justice, and the American way.
I was gonna say the American way, but I don't know how I got a little worried right there. But hey, you said it for me, so thank you.
I don't know how to pronounce the actor's name who played Lex Luthor.
Oh, Nicholas Hoult.
He was great.
Yes,
he really personified evil. And it was interesting. There were a number of characters who I was trying to figure out where I knew what other roles I knew them from. And I was probably 15 minutes into the film before I realized that Lois Lane, Rachel Brosnahan, had played a really significant role in the Netflix series House of Cards. I think it speaks to her versatility as an actress because she is money in everything I've seen her in, including this. And she brings a sort of she brings a little more of an edge to the role of Lois Lane than perhaps Margot Kidder or some of the other actresses who have played the role have.
Definitely. I mean, she's even flying Mr. Terrific spaceship in there without even getting directions in there.
But it just, and she's got a little more of a sort of a cynicism about her. She really plays the role, and perhaps she just has a better script too, but she plays the role of the cynical journalist to a T. There was a guy, I still don't know who he was. I recognize the actor who, he's somebody at the Daily Planet who is bouncing around in that little ship when they're flying it around. He's the guy that doesn't have the seatbelt. I don't know, I know him, but I don't know where I know him from.
That is Beck Bennett. He was a regular on Saturday Night Live for like 5 to 6 years. Yeah, I was shocked when I saw him in there. I'm like, oh my God, that's the dude from Jeopardy.
Here I am working at NBC. I don't even recognize a guy from Saturday Night Live. But he was great in that role. So
the one I actually did recognize immediately was the guy who played Perry White. Wendell Pierce is his name. He's appeared in I'm convinced that the reason he's always got that cigar in his mouth is because almost every film I've seen him in, he always plays some type of hitman in gangster films.
I did like the way they changed up the role of Jimmy Olsen.
Yes, he was more prominent this time. He wasn't just quote unquote Superman's pal.
And clearly a ladies' man.
Yeah.
The whole relationship between
Miss Tessmacher.
Eve was
they went with their first name this time.
That was perfect.
Although I was hoping for a Nicholas Hoult to scream the Miss Tessmacher line like Gene Hackman did in the original films.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite parts of the whole film. I've literally seen like 30-second loops of that on YouTube, and I laugh every single time. R.I.P. Gene Hackman.
My favorite part of that film was that that Lex Luthor had one of the bombs pointed at Hackensack, New Jersey, where her mother lived. So
that was great. So, I mean, you're talking very positive about this film. Was there any part that bothered you or you would possibly change?
I can't. No, I don't think so. I mean, it was a great escape for 2 hours. The one thing, I'm going to sound like an old guy screaming on his front lawn, but I got there on time, and had I known that I was going to watch a half hour of previews, I might have gone and gotten a cocktail. I guess I wasn't prepared for how many of them there would be. Come on now, we got to be starting the movie now, right?
I don't know. I've been to theaters sometimes where I've actually thought I'd be sitting through a half hour worth of trailers, but then I get there and film's already 5 minutes in. I'm like, wait, what the heck?
This film was a little over 2 hours long.
It was like 2 hours and 2 minutes, I believe it was.
Which that is right in my wheelhouse for how long I want to sit still and watch a movie.
Oh yeah, me too. And
some of these
definitely.
Some of the films when they push the outer envelope they overwhelm my attention span.
And I got one more question for you before we start to wrap things up, and it's probably the most important one. Are you going to see the Fantastic Four First Steps now?
I suspect I will. That's Superman and the Fantastic Four. Neither one of these films are films that I'm going to be able to get my wife to go to. So it'll be like a. You
got a producer right here who's willing to go see it for a third time. I'd go tonight after the show again.
I'd probably likely to go on a weekday morning if I know this. But, you never know. I mean, sometimes Kathy's game. I might be able to talk her into going to see the Fantastic Four.
Well, my offer's actually going to stand. I don't care if it's before work or after work. I'll meet you there. I've already seen it twice. I'm going to try and make it an even four for each member. So I've got a
question for you. When I asked you if I was only going to see one of the films, Superman or Fantastic Four, both you and Spencer said, go see Superman. But you've now seen the Fantastic Four more than you saw Superman. Right?
Actually, no. I saw them both twice.
Okay. So is there one that you prefer?
It's kind of difficult because, honestly, as a film critic here, I look at movies two separate ways. I look at it from a critical point of view, but then there's also one from like a personal or just entertainment point of view. And personally, the Fantastic Four have always been my favorite superhero team in comics. Yeah. The 2005 original film with Chris Evans and Jessica Alba wasn't the first superhero film I saw in theaters, but it was the first one I remember seeing. And that was what launched me into my love of comic books and all that. And ever since then, they've always been my favorite team in there. So I got personal bias right there. Yeah. But yet I also grew up with Christopher Reeve's Superman.
Right. And I'm partial to him because he and I are both equestrians.
That's right.
And in fact, my wife competes in eventing, which was what he was doing when he had his
accident. Yeah.
So I've got a certain amount affection for him.
Mm-hmm.
I've also got a lot of affection for Jessica Alba. I interviewed her face to face.
No.
In I can't remember what show she was.
Oh, so you actually saw her, so she wasn't being the Invisible Woman at the time.
They were having a one of these junket things, and she was at a hotel in Philadelphia.
Wow.
And there were about a half dozen reporters, and we each got 10 or 15 minutes one-on-one with her, and she was just very engaging, and very nice.
Wow.
That's nice when you meet a movie star.
Exactly,
they live up to their billing, if it were. And sometimes you get a sense that they're nicer to the working press than they are to their fans. But I was watching Jessica Alba as she left the hotel with her entourage, and and they were obviously fans gushing, and she was just talk to everybody.
Yeah.
And I mean, how hard is it to be nice?
Exactly. But yeah, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Both Fantastic Four and Superman are very, very good. But if I were to choose one of them, the better film probably is Superman. It's a lot more lighthearted. I think when you take your kids there, like I assume you should probably take Colton there at least once. It will be something a lot more for him to enjoy. And plus, not to mention, this is the start of a new film franchise where obviously Marvel has been going for ever since 2008 with the first Iron Man. Not that the Fantastic Four First Steps really does stand on its own, but if you know everything that's going on, what film is going to come next in the franchise, it gets you a lot more hyped when you see that's what appeared in that scene right there. Oh, so that's going to play a role, obviously.
I think Gunn is very good, and it'd be interesting to see what he does with some of the other members of the DC universe.
I am very excited. Well, he already did say that he's already starting to cast for Wonder Woman, so obviously the fans are going crazy for that over who they want to play the iconic role. But honestly, Linda Carter and Gal Gadot are going to be kind of hard to replace.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, George, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the Slack on Flicks podcast this evening. Congratulations. You're actually the first guest that we brought on.
All right. Well, I guess you and I got to go downstairs now and work on our 11 o'clock broadcast. Huh?
I think we do now, yeah. All right. Thanks a lot, George. Thank you guys all so much for watching. You can read both my reviews for Fantastic Four First Steps and Superman by going to WNDU.com. And you can always catch George Mallet on 16 News Now at 11 and, of course, 16 News Now at 5. Take care, guys. We'll see you all next week.